He's on the 30-yard line. The 20, the 10, touchdown!
Welcome back to the TFL Talk, the one and only TFL Talk show.
Yep.
We have today our guests are Kelson Volkert,
Hi.
Kellen Wood, welcome, your host, Gabe Gollinger, Timmy Jordan, Timmy Touchdown, and Jared McKinley, counting his fingers. So today on TFL Talk, we're gonna be talking mainly about player comparisons. So everyone has gotten assigned a player in the TFL, and we will be comparing them to an NFL player. They can be retired or still an active player. So we've really taken a lot of time. I mean, countless hours have been put into this, and I think we're ready to show the world what we have. Who wants to kick us off with their first one? We're gonna just keep passing it around, so you're not gonna go all at the same time.
Okay.
So, Kelson, you want to go first for us?
I'm going
We go say goodnight.
What's up, guys? Kate Diaz. Josh. What do we have for him? I put Khalil Shakir. Last year, first year, newbie, right? Rookie. What are they made of? We don't know. Khalil Shakir, I think this is his second or third year in the league, so kind of the same boat. Hey, he scored a touchdown. Josh, he did. And Khalil's, let me check that stat here. In his first year, he scored a touchdown. So that's what I got. That's what I got for old Joshy.
Well said.
This year, he has opportunity. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what the captains are thinking. Maybe they can give a little insight today. But I think he has big play possibility, just like I think everybody thinks Khalil has. So yeah, well, I'm excited to see what he can do this year. So,
yeah. One more question before you swing it on over to me, Kelson. What would you say? If you could list one? What is one of Josh's biggest strengths, and what's one of his weaknesses?
his weakness is his size. I think if he's matched up against a receiver who's a bigger size, it's going to be easy to throw high balls on him.
We saw that with Trevor this past year.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah. Poor. Tough luck. His strength is his grit. He is ready to fight. He wants to win. You can see it in his eyes. You saw that headband last year, and he was, I'm going to go at it. I think his grit is actually like, some people make fun. The white guy, he's the gritty guy. No, Josh, he's like the black-white guy.
Let's not get political here.
You're right. You're right. We're going to cut that out.
I feel like he's more like Gabe Davis than Shakir. Well, I see where you're going.
Why?
Okay,
Why Gabe Davis?
I don't think Gabe Davis, because Gabe Davis is what is better than Khalil Shakir, like by a good margin, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's why I think Josh would be more of a Gabe Davis. I think that Josh, Stephon Diggs is obviously the number. Stephon Diggs is obviously, not that I'm necessarily disagreeing. I just think a Gabe Davis would be, Stephon Diggs is obviously the number one. Whatever team Josh goes to, he's projected to go in the second round.
There's only two receivers.
And that's what I'm saying. Gabe, he's going to be a number two. I think that he has sure hands. He catches pretty well. He has good hands, like Gabe Davis. But he's not going to be the workhorse that you're going to see with a Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
My one counter to Jared's argument is that we all remember Gabe Davis's playoff game against the Chiefs, where he went for 200 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 tutties. It was a big game. Put him on the map. Really.
Big boy.
And if we look at the playoff stats from last year, Josh did not record a single catch. So to play devil's advocate,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, well, he's down.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying too. Just my last little, just to rebuttal that as well. This will be the last.
play with
little
devil's advocate.
Yeah. I think that Gabe Davis is also extremely inconsistent. And last year, I think Josh was pretty inconsistent too, just because of the production of guys before him. So that's all I would say to that.
Yeah. Tim, why don't you go with our next?
Yeah, going next comparison, I have Drew Dunham, first-year player in the league. I think a good comparison for him would be Braxton Berrios. Okay, he is we don't know much about Drew yet, but from the scrimmages that he's been attending, he's been to 2 scrimmages. From what I've seen, he is a sure number 2 guy. He's not going to be anything crazy, surprising in the first round, I believe. But, he's going to be a guy that I feel like, he's starting to ask questions in the TFL, and I think he's watching film on his own. I think he is. And he's been asking questions in the huddles, trying to use that big brain of his to, outsmart some people. And I feel like Drew can just be reliable. I mean, Braxton Berrios, there's games where he just doesn't show up at all. And I think there's going to be some games where maybe Drew doesn't show up. But I think, those have that game sometimes where, he catches a few balls, he catches some pass, catches a touchdown, and people just won't expect it. I mean, that's what happened in the championship with Chell last year. No one expected to go to him, and he scored a big touchdown in the championship. So I think that's where you'll see it at Drew. He'll be reliable. He'll do what you tell him to do, and he's working right now. So we'll see what he's made of.
Yeah. And, shout out Braxton Berrios and then Alex Earl have a very documented relationship. So shout out Braxton Berrios for pulling that. And
Cal, you can go over the names.
yeah, so my first guy, Jimmy Bunner.
Bugs.
I think he relates to Sam Howell for me. You might not think of Jimmy Bunner as a quarterback. You might think of him as a receiver. However, if you look at the stats, Jimmy Bunner, 4th in the league in the past 4 years in passing yards. Something you wouldn't expect. He's got more passing yards than guys like Lucas or Israel or Jackson or Stets. And he's got a better touchdown to interception ratio than Grant Norman as well.
Whoa.
So shout out Jimmy Bunner. I think Jimmy is one of the most underrated guys in the league. He's got a very nice build, very nice body. He might be a little bit undersized, but he makes up for it with his heart. If you look at the BBA, he's put it all out there, breaking his leg in the BBA.
Walking to his car and driving home. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, shout out Jimmy Bunner. I've drafted him before, and he's definitely on my list to draft him.
Does that mean you're even playing wide receiver this year?
Probably not. Jimmy.
Good answer. You want to go?
I can go next. I just have something to say. I like that you said he's underrated, Cal. I agree with that. I feel like he's one of the most underrated players, QBs in the league particularly, and I do think that's where he's strongest at. If a team was to pick him up, I feel like him playing QB would be where he should be at. I also just want to mention how you mentioned the past 3 years, his passing stats. Is that 4? One of those years he was playing without a captain. Braden Hicks missed a year. So he's playing with Jared Holmes and I forget who the other...
Justin Hicks, I think.
Justin Hicks. So, yeah, that's also something to take into account when thinking about Jimmy Butler and,
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler. Sorry, you just got that dog in him. So. Yeah, I could go next, though.
Go ahead.
I'll start with an easy one. We'll do Callan Wood. Pretty easily, I think we just see a lot of resemblance between him and Patrick Mahomes. I know that's high praise, and it can be kind of daunting, but if you just watch the way he plays, you can tell that this guy watches Pat Mahomes, and he embraces his game. His ability to extend plays, I think, makes him very Pat Mahomes-like. Another guy I was kind of thinking was Josh Allen, but I just think the way that Callan is creative with his throws, that's something that we see a lot more with Patrick Mahomes as opposed to Josh Allen. And also just he's got a cannon of an arm. Probably he's top 2 quarterback for sure every year. So yeah, I think that his ability to extend plays and also the cannon of an arm, and just his creativity makes him a lot like Patrick Mahomes.
No,
I agree. I agree with that, Jared. I think a good comparison when you said Josh Allen, but I'm going rookie year Josh Allen. Just, he has a can of an arm. Sometimes I feel like he just doesn't know what to do with it. I mean, all those compliments that you just gave him, I agree 100%. He's a heck of a player in this league, and he's proven that. And it's so much fun to go up against him and to watch him from the sidelines as well. But I feel like sometimes he tries to extend plays when they don't need it, and he doesn't know when to slow that arm down and just fit it into a nice easy window. But all props to Cal. But yeah, I think rookie year Josh Allen is a great comparison for him.
Yeah.
You're just a hater, Tim.
Yeah.
All right. So
Competition.
my first comparison is actually going to be also someone here tonight, Elson Volker. And I'm going to compare him to Mike Wallace. All right? And hear me out for why I compare
Some may
him.
say, who is Mike Wallace?
People don't know who Mike Wallace is, but Mike Wallace, Steelers legend. All right? He's had multiple 1,000-yard receiving years.
How many?
At least 3. And here's Mike Wallace's career. He got there in 2009 to the Steelers. Was a good player. Within his first 4 years, he was good. Then AB came in, and AB was a generational player. And I compare that to Cal's team this past year. Cal had Kelson, who was a good player, and then he gets 6'4" athletic freak Zay Burke coming in there. But Kelson still had a very valuable role on that team. Caught the game-winning touchdown against the Criminals, and he caught, I think, multiple touchdowns in the playoffs. And you played a vital role in winning that champion, or coming close to winning that championship last year. So Mike Wallace.
Say back to Kelson.
I to play devil's advocate here. I feel like that's a little bit disrespectful to Kelson here. I mean, Kelson, if you look at him, if you look at his playoff stats from last year, he's 4th in the league, 4th in playoff stats, in playoff receiving yards, 4th in playoff touchdowns, while also throwing a couple touchdowns as well. So I just feel like that's a little bit disrespectful to him.
I think he was on a high-powered offense, and he was the second best receiver on that team, but he played very well. He was rolled well.
I like that.
Okay. All right, Kelson, go ahead.
I've just played devil's advocate.
Hey, I like to say thanks to that. I can see where you're coming from, but this year, I'm ready to win.
AB this year.
Yeah, I'm AB this year. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a quarterback. I'm just not that good. I can play here and there. I can throw a couple of touchdowns. But if you ever put a quarterback on my team, I'm a playmaker. I'll go get you that ball. I'll make plays for you. So I'm just saying, I think I should be a better draft pick than I was last year. I think I was 3rd to last last year or something like that. I think I should be high 2nd or low 1st. I think there's definitely players better than me because of captains and their positional needs. I'm ready to ball out this year. I can't wait.
One question bounce off of what you said. So you want to be a higher draft pick this year, which means that some people are gonna be drafted lower. Just one example off the top of my head: Israel Schumann is someone who was drafted 1 pick ahead of you last year. Are you saying that you should be picked ahead of Israel?
Yeah.
Can you expound upon that a little bit for me?
I think just because of my size, I'm a little bit bigger than Israel. So I think if either he's guarding me or I'm guarding him, I think there's an advantage there. I think he does have speed on me. But I think if I can play him right, I think I can play him pretty well. I will say my defense is a weaker part, but I'm growing in that with these scrimmages that we're playing. So I think I can handle him. So I think him as an example, I think that's a great example. I think I could be drafted above him.
Are you saying you should be?
Well, I'm saying I should be. But, I mean, other people, obviously, he's going to think he shouldn't. He's going to think he should be top, But I think I should. Now it's up to you guys. I keep playing in those scrimmages and keep making plays and keep growing, whatever. I'm going to show you, at the end of the day, wherever I get drafted, I'm going to show you, I should be higher and not lower.
Round two.
Well, I'm going to start with Lucas here. I think Lucas is very underrated. I think he can play multiple positions, depending on the team needs, depending on what captain drafts him. I think he's very good. Last year he mainly played quarterback. I think a good quarterback comparison for Lucas would be Kirk Cousins. You know, he can sling the ball if he has number one receiver like Gabe. I think it was last year or and the year before too, right? Past 2 years. And they did very well. You know, I think that is a good comparison for Lucas. Callan doesn't think so. Let's see what he said about that.
Well, Lucas and Gabe didn't play together 2 years ago, I don't think.
Yeah,
Or Lucas wasn't.
10. Oh, he wasn't quarterback, no.
Yeah.
Not with Tim and I, but this past year,
But
he
this
was
all year, yeah.
exclusively quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, to play devil's advocate there,
Okay.
we all think of Kirk Cousins as you know, he's a little bit taller. He's not very mobile, I'd say. And so I just think that, like, there's a couple better options than Kirk Cousins, in my opinion.
I think he's
What would those options be?
yeah, what are those options?
You know, I think
Cousins is
he
good.
is
I think
more,
he's
he could be
underrated.
more of like a Russell Wilson. A little bit
Russell Wilson's not good.
undersized. Seattle Russell Wilson.
Okay.
All right. I think Seattle Russell Wilson could be good for him. You know, a little bit undersized.
Talking about 1 o'clock Kirk Cousins or primetime Kirk Cousins?
1 o'clock. The good Kirk Cousins.
I think that's fair.
I think a Kirk is a good.
I like that. I think that.
I think he's better than
I think that Kirk Cousins. I think that Kirk Cousins is a guy. Like you said, he has Justin Jefferson. So he's put up really good numbers. But I mean, doesn't always make it far in the playoffs. Might make the playoffs, but get bounced. And then also, we see what he is without Justin Jefferson. You know, this past week, Kirk wasn't really that great. Same with Lucas. I think if he doesn't have like that number one guy, I don't think he's going to be anything special. I think we saw that when he was a captain of a team, and he was like the main guy. Just like Kirk, when Kirk's the main guy of your offense is going to struggle a little bit. But when you have pieces around him, you can really build off of him, and he's a great player to have on your team.
Yeah.
Very smart too. Very smart.
I can go next. Good comparison, but I'm gonna go Ryan Perkins here. I think Ryan Perkins we've only seen 1 year of him in the TFL. Took a year off last year. But I think a good comparison to him is Michael Pittman Jr. Ryan Perkins is a guy who's an athlete. You know, he had a lot of promise coming into the TFL, just as Pittman did coming out of USC. Pittman is, I would say, not the like lowest tier wide receiver one you can get, but he's not someone you want to draft super high. He's one of those guys that's reliable. He can make a great play. He's athletic. He's fast. But he doesn't make the sharpest of cuts, and he doesn't really understand, I'd say, the TFL as much as some other receivers do, as much as like Braden, Gabe, Jared. The way they run their routes, you can just tell there's a difference. So Michael Pittman Jr. is definitely a number one, but he's not going to be lined up with Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill and all those guys, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. He's not those type of wide receiver ones, but he'll show up, he'll run the underneath routes, and he'll have an athletic play and an outstanding play here and there, but not that top tier wide receiver one status.
I really like that comparison to him. I think that you heard there. Cal, do you want to go with your next comparison? Or?
Not yet.
I'll go.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so I did a captain last time. I'll do another captain. I have Braden Hicks. Obviously, just won a championship. I have Braden as a Deebo Samuel. And the reason I chose Deebo Samuel was because Braden is very explosive, just like Deebo. I think the main thing with Deebo is he's a very explosive guy. He's fast. A lot of what Deebo does and is known for is the run after the catch. If he gets the ball, he's going to make something happen. I think that's really true with Braden as well. I think Braden, if he gets the ball in his hands, he's going to make something happen. He's very explosive, very quick, and he's hard to tackle. Maybe he's not the best route runner in the league, but he's still a very good route runner. And I think Deebo is a good route runner, just like Braden is. But what really separates Deebo from the rest is his ability to make plays when he has the ball in his hand. So that's why I like Braden compared to Deebo.
Jared, I really like that comparison. You know what was an interesting thing this year, I thought? Braden, we've always seen, has been a big runner of the football and a lot of yards after catch. I don't feel like that happened a lot this year, but they were very successful.
I think it was just I think that's a product of the quarterback that he's with. He doesn't have to then
Yeah.
up those yards.
Yeah, I love that for him. Might have to this year, though. We'll see who he gets. You ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
Yeah, my next comparison is Jared McKinley. My comparison for him would be Terry McLaurin. And my reasoning for that is, Terry McLaurin is one of the most talented wide receivers. He's top 10 in Madden ratings as a receiver. He's very good. Everyone knows he's very good. But sometimes he doesn't have the best QB. Terry McLaurin, he's struggled with consistent production due to the quarterbacks that he's had. He hasn't had an elite quarterback as a captain, and that's what kind of gets him. You don't think of the Commanders as a consistent playoff team, and if we look at Jared's playoff stats the past couple of years, this past year he was 8th in the league in playoff receiving yards. If we look at 2 years ago for the playoff rankings, he was number 6 for playoff rankings and receiving yards. So, I don't put the blame on that completely on Jared. I think it's been frustrating for him as a captain with not having an elite quarterback, which is very unfortunate to him. But like I said at the beginning, a very talented wide receiver who could be due for a breakout year.
Yeah, Cal, I think that was a good comparison for all the reasons you listed. All right, my next comparison is going to be the one and only Ryan Chell. Let's go over Chell's performance the past 2 years at the league and when he's been in the league. First year goes to the championship. Second year wins the championship. All guy does is win. So let's just put that out there.
It's like a Patrick McCall.
For me, he is a Creed Humphrey. And this is because
Creed Humphrey.
He's like the center.
Creed Humphrey is the center for the Kansas City Chiefs. But look, all Creed does since he's came into the league is win. And you know who he wins with? He wins with a fantastic quarterback. And who did Chell have last year? Timmy Jordan. All right, so Grant.
Last year he was a tight end. No, he was a lineman.
Listen, Creed Humphrey, there may be one of those plays, lines up as an eligible offensive lineman, goes out for a pass and catches one. And that's what happened in the championship this past year for Chell. Other than that, he got 0 catches. So that's why when he was Creed Humphrey.
Now to play devil's advocate, has Creed Humphrey ever caught a pass?
Yeah. In his Pee Wee football days, Creed Humphrey was a tight end. So
For my last player comparison, we have Kyle Zurbach. He's a big body. He's a big boy. He's I think a nurse or something along those lines. Somebody correct me. Med school, whatever the frick it's called. I don't know. He's one of them doctor dudes. Big, ripped, strong. My comparison is Rob Gronkowski. Let's see here. Last year, him and Grant. I don't know how many touchdowns he had, but he throws it up to him. He's coming down with the ball almost every time. Kyle Zurbach and Rob Gronkowski got the same build. I don't know how tall Gronk is, but I'm sure it's close to the same height. He is a strong body. Gronk can win championships. Zurbach can help your team win a championship. If you draft him, you are getting an assured big body, good receiver. He can outplay probably anybody. I mean, let's be honest. He's a lot bigger than almost everybody else. I think that's a good comparison. I think if he's on the right team, he can help you to win games, certainly. I didn't really watch him that much last year. I was just focused on, my games coming up next. So I don't really know exactly how he did on the defensive side. But I'm sure if he's, continuing his footwork, and
and his playmaking ability, I think he can jump passes and play good at defense, be a good CB. I think he's an assured top 2 pick. That's my comparison. Am I have any whatever? I agree. Devil's advocate.
I'll go on that.
Okay.
Gee, Will hurts. The ball was. It was the water ball that fell.
All right. My next comparison is my first captain that I'm comparing, Grant Norman. My comparison for him is Joe Burrow. Okay, obviously the hair is a big factor in that, and just the way his overall appearance looks. But Grant, honestly, I think after last season, I think he's the Joe Burrow of this year at the beginning of the season. Just starting out rough. I mean, if you look at the stats from last year, the regular season stats, Grant wasn't even a top 5 quarterback in the TFL. That is just not ideal. And you see, if you watch film in the playoffs, Grant just cracked the top 5 in playoff quarterback stats. He was number 5. There's times where he had Stets taking over. That's just a loss of confidence in Grant. I think he's settled into that factor of he's won championships already, and I think the fire's starting to go down.
It's kind of like how Joe Burrow won a championship at LSU.
Yes, Burrow won a championship at LSU. He came in the league hot, and that's exactly what Grant has done. He's been an MVP. He has championships, but now you can just see he got paid, and he's just not the same quarterback anymore. He's kind of settled in and just been like, oh, this is me. I have my money. I don't care about winning as much anymore. But there's
That dog as
exactly Grant's lost that dog in him, and we'll see what Grant's put up this year. He's starting to step up. Hopefully, injuries stay out of his career, but we'll see what moving forward what Grant has to offer.
Yeah, Tim, I'm going to bite back at that a little bit. Wait, is that the expression? I'm going to bite back at that a little bit, Tim. Here's my reasoning. Can I look at your stats real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Grant Norman, I just want to look at the playoff rushing stats. 6 rushes for 95 yards and a touchdown. Regular season rushes, 2 rushes for 40 yards. He ranked number 1 in the playoffs, number 2 in the regular season. Grant Norman is a mobile quarterback. He has the most rushing touchdowns out of any player by far all time.
sounds like Ryan Tannehill.
So to me, it sounds like Grant is more of a mobile quarterback, much more than Joe Burrow in his wanky. Not wanky. What's the word there? Is injured calf. All right. So I would say Grant is more of a mobile quarterback. I don't quite have a name for you, but Joe Burrow is far from mobile. So
I would disagree.
oh, okay.
I'll disagree with Gabe in saying that Joe Burrow is not a mobile quarterback.
I don't think anyone has ever described Joe Burrow as mobile.
The reason why Joe Burrow was struggling was because of his mobility. Joe Burrow is a player that can get out of the pocket, and while he may not run for hundreds of yards, he's going to get out of the pocket and he's going to extend plays, much like Grant does.
Is he going to lead the league in rushing?
So you're saying that Grant's a Lamar?
I think Grant is much more of a mobile quarterback than Joe Burrow.
Is Gates saying that he's better than a Joe Burrow or worse than Joe Burrow?
I'm saying he is a different quarterback than Joe Burrow.
Which makes sense. No, it's a tier thing. It's a tier thing. I think that Grant needs mobility to be able to throw the ball, just like Joe Burrow does.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does. He's not.
Joe Burrow has to get out of the pocket to be able to throw the ball.
That's what Joe Burrow is very good at. That he's very good at getting out of the pocket and extending.
He's literally a pocket passer.
He is not in the description that you're thinking of. He's a pocket passer for today's NFL, sure. But the term pocket passer looks very different than it did even a few years ago.
Okay, well, my point is that Grant led the league in the playoffs in rushing, was second in the league in rushing regular season. So obviously he's a dual threat quarterback, and nobody would describe Joe Burrow as a dual threat quarterback.
I would. I think he is.
Sure. That's ridiculous.
Anyway,
moving on.
Well, before we move on here, Al. One just interesting fun fact here that I'm looking at. If you take a deeper dive into the analytics of the TFL, one one stat that is kind of important is quarterback rating. It really encompasses performance, talent, as they say. And last year, if we look at the league quarterback rankings, we'll notice that Israel Schumann had a higher QBR than Grant Norman, and had more yards per dropback than Grant.
I think Trevor Lawrence.
I just wanted to throw that out
Or
there.
Daniel Jones.
No, not Daniel Jones. He's better.
I think he is a Daniel Jones.
I think he's more of a Trevor Lawrence.
But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there that Israel had a higher QBR than Grant.
Lawrence is all right.
In 2019, and if we look back at 2019, we'll also see that Jimmy Bunner had a higher QBR than Grant Norman. Fun fact for you.
Dragging Grant through the mud right now. Something to think about for Grant Norman this upcoming season.
I would just like to finish this whole thing by saying I think he's actually more like a Daniel Jones. Anyway, he's got to run the ball, but other than that. Okay. This is my favorite player comparison. I got Adam Smith. Adam Smith to me is Michael Thomas. I like this comparison. When Adam came out in the league, everyone, he was a big name. People wanted him on their team, just like Michael Thomas. He was winning awards early in his career, doing great. But then obviously, he was winning awards for receiving stats, offensive player of the year. He was breaking records receiving wise.
He didn't win it.
Just like Adam. Adam had a great rookie year. But the problem that seems to be with Michael Thomas is the injuries and the fatigue and just his ability to stay on the field. And he's a guy that you can't really center your offense around because of that. And due to that, now Michael Thomas has kind of become a number two. He's still going to get catches. He's still going to get his. But he's not going to be the focal point of your offense, really, like Chris Olave now is for the Saints. I think that's the same thing with Adam. I think Adam is a player who is going to be very reliable at wide receiver. But if he's your wide receiver one, he's going to struggle. And that's just because of his ability to make plays due to his fatigue and his ability to stay on the field. He's going to get gassed. And he's going to have to hand those reins off to someone else. So that's my player comp for Adam Smith.
I think we're. I'm going to go. You have one. Jared has two. You have one. I have one. You have none left? All right. We'll go to Cal then.
I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Not too much of an explanation here. My last guy is Jackson Turnwald. And my comparison for Jackson Turnwald is Calvin Ridley. Jackson's played a lot more wide receiver than he has quarterback, so I wanted to compare him to what he's played more. And, I just thought Calvin Ridley would be a good comparison. He's smooth, he's flashy, he's got a lot in his bag, as they say. And we all know Calvin Ridley's got good moves. We've seen the video of him in the preseason when they were doing that one drill with him and Christian Kirk, and he looked like he was just at a different level. And I think Jackson's the same way as a receiver. He's got a good build for a receiver. He's tall, he's athletic, he's a multi-sport athlete with basketball and football. And I just think Calvin Ridley is a good comparison. So I would consider them both as a smooth player.
Ian Jackson's got the swagger. Pull up in the Shiesty mask.
Yep.
Those are your words, not mine.
All right. And back, we'll go to Jared. All right, Jared. Jared's got two, and we both have one.
All right. So originally, you know what? I'm gonna do Zane right now. Zane Burke. He's a guy that just came in the league last year. He's gonna be in the league this year. He's gonna be a top pick. I think he's similar to. I was originally gonna say T. Higgins. Now I'm gonna say Mike Evans. I think both of those guys. He's just a big guy. He's gonna outman you, out-physical you. And he's a big red zone target. He's going to catch a lot of touchdowns. He's got a great vertical. And really, he's a great deep threat. He likes to run those deep routes. And catch those long balls on you. And so that's why I think he's like Mike Evans. He's got a huge radius, and he's gonna make a lot of plays. That
He does have a very big radius.
he does have a big radius.
It's a great comparison for Zane Burke. Great player in this league. My last comparison is Israel Schumann. There we go. Israel has played receiver in this league multiple years. I'm going off of last year and some previous other previous years that he's played quarterback. So his comparison for me is Zach Wilson. I think last year in the TFL he had the most fans, and they were all females. So sometimes that increases his play, and sometimes I think he just
His play is definitely increased.
his play has increased. Yes, but Israel is a guy that he's not your number one option to be a quarterback. But he's someone you throw in there, and I think he has some talent. He'll make like an unbelievable throw, like Wilson did on his pro day. The back foot, throwing it deep like 40 yards. Israel, I think here and there can make a play like that, but most of the time it's just not someone you prefer at quarterback. But he's fast, he's agile, he can run, and he can fit it in some tight windows. But most of the time he's just that secondary guy. But we'll see if Israel changes his ways this year in TFL.
Somewhere, Israel is punching air right now. My comparison is actually for Tim Guy over here, Timmy Touchdown. And this is a new one. Previously we've compared him to Big Ben. And I think that's a fair comparison, but I have one better. Tim's a young guy in the league, all right? He was a rookie last year, or 2 years ago, I guess, and then a second-year veteran this past year. You know who I compare him to? Brock Purdy. Because Timmy hasn't lost a game yet. And Brock Purdy should not have lost a game yet, but his kicker missed a 40-yard field goal. And frankly, I thought of this comparison before Brock Purdy lost a game. Brock Purdy didn't lose a game. Surrounded by a fantastic cast. Tim has had Braden and Chell. Stud. and he's had me and Lucas surrounded by a fantastic cast and doesn't lose games and makes the plays that are needed to be made. Brock Purdy.
Is that everything?
Oh, we got Jared. One more. Jared.
Okay. He doesn't want to be Mike.
All right. We got one more player.
Wait, no. I will also say I think that's a great comparison. He also doesn't turn the ball over, just like Purdy doesn't turn the ball over.
One pick in 2 years.
Yep. So.
Holy crap, dude! You're Brock Purdy.
Yep, he's Brock Purdy. All right, my final player comparison is going to be Gabe Collier. That is one of the best receivers in the league. I'm comparing him to Cooper Kupp. Every year, Gabe's getting targets left and right. High rates of targets. Always the favorite of his quarterback. Just peppered with targets. It's crazy. If you're the other receiver on Gabe's team, just go out there and block because you're not getting the ball.
My Puka.
And that's you can be his Puka. Not getting the ball. So that's Gabe. He's also gonna score you target. He's gonna score red zone opportunities, and also just his hands are sure. And his route running is very technical. He's a very good route runner. He's always a threat to lead the league in receiving yards and touchdowns and receptions, just because of the volume that he gets. But he's also very talented. So that would be my comparison to Gabe.
I feel like that was pretty good comparisons, guys. What do we think? We feeling good about those?
Yeah. Excited for the year.
Excited for the year. The past 4 years of stats will be dropping at some point here on the Instagram. So we'll be having those dropping, and everybody will get to look at quarterback and wide receiver. No defensive stats, though. Those weren't kept until 2 years ago. So thanks for joining us on TFL Talk today. We hope to have some of you other guys on here. It's been a good one, guys.
Yeah. Don't forget to like and comment below.
Yep. Subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
TFL YouTube.
Do it.